Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So as promised, we are going to be planting bromeliads out in the temperate garden. Yeah guys, I know they can't stay out there once there's frost and cold weather, but I'm going to show you a hack how you can grow bromeliads in your garden and then take them out and put them inside during the winter, and then when winter is over, put them right back in there, and you only have to dig once. So you know what? The sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing. It's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun. And why don't we learn a really cool hack about how to put bromeliads in our garden, even if we live in the temperate zone. Okay guys, before we get going, if this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you like what you see, and if you do me a favor, hit that like button down there, and I hope you'll become a subscriber and come back and be part of our bromeliad family. So why don't we get to today's video? Okay, so I hope I haven't held you in suspense too much. So what I'm going to show you today, for all of you who don't live in the subtropics like I do, there's a way that you can put bromeliads in the ground for your growing season. No, you can't leave them in there for frost and for cold weather. I'm not saying that. No, you can't leave them in the ground year-round. You still can't do that. But there is a way that you can take them out without digging them, and you can also put other plants that are in the same size pot right back in their place for autumn. You know, there are a lot of plants like ornamental kale or chrysanthemums that can put up with cooler temperatures. You know what's best and available where you live, but you'll be able to have color and form and texture in your garden even after the bromeliads are gone. Okay, so here's how it's done. All you have to do is take a larger pot than what your bromeliad is growing in, and you put this pot in the ground. I'm going to show you just how that's done. It's pretty easy. So imagine this is in the ground and you want to plant your bromeliad out. Now again, it's got to be in a smaller pot than the one that you put in the ground, and you just drop it right in like that. Now this is going to be in the ground. I'm going to show you how that's done. There's a couple tips, but it's not all that difficult. And then after you take your bromeliad in for the winter, then you can put another plant right in there, and you can have continuous plants in your garden, and all you have to do is dig one time. That's all you have to do. Dig one hole, put this pot in the ground, and then put your bromeliad in it. Then when it's time to take it out, no dig, no mess, no fuss. All you have to do is plop, take it out. Now, one of the reasons that this is so easy to do is that this is a tank type epiphyte, so it gets water in the tank, and that is what makes it so that you can leave this bromeliad in this pot for an indefinite period of time. So okay, why don't we go outside? We're going to go back to the garden that we planted in last week, and I think you really need to look at that because that gives a little bit more information about what an outside planted bromeliad needs, and I'm going to show you just what you need to know. Okay, if you saw our last video about planting, this is for you guys who do not live in an area where you can leave your bromeliads in the ground. The key word is leave, because you can still have them in the ground and take them up with very little effort. So just like we did last week, I'm going to dig a hole where we're going to put the bromeliad, but the bromeliad is not going to go in here by itself. I'm going to show you something. This is a really neat hack, and it will work for you very, very well. Now I'm going to dig this out a little bit more because I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Okay, so I showed you how we were going to do pot in pot. up on the plant deck. But now I'm going to show you how it's done. So you need a pot that is going to be bigger than the pot that your bromeliad is in. And I showed you that up on the plant deck, and see how it fits in there? So we need to put this in the ground. Now, before we do that, I think you can see that this has holes in it, and we want those holes to remain open. Why? Well, we still want it to drain. We don't want this to become a saucer so that this plant would drown if it did not drain. So all I'm going to do is take wood chips, and I'm going to put those in the base of the hole like that. Now you can also use rocks, anything to keep the pot elevated while it's buried in your garden soil. And so that way it will drain through those holes. Okay, so we have our hole, and we're going to put our pot in there. So we want to make sure that it's going to drain. And so we can either take wood chips and put in the base. I would like to have it a bit more coarse than this, and that would keep it from compacting, but that will do the job. Or I found a handy dandy little rock. Okay, so I put a rock down in the hole, and you can see the pot right there. And then really it's a simple matter of filling up around the pot so that the edge of the pot is just barely at the surface. And it's really, really simple from that point on. You're just going to take your pot and try and get it in the hole. Now again, because I've got it on a slope, I want this part of the pot to be in grade. The slope goes up that way. And all I'm going to do is fill in around. Now, if you're doing this in flat ground, you can do it, guys. It's easy. Now, I'm only doing it like this again because it makes it so that you can see it. And now, you're going to see a little bit of the pot, but you can camouflage that, I think. So you can see that the pot's in there, and here's what you do. You take your bromeliad, and it's been inside, and now it's springtime, and you're all ready, and you want your bromeliad to go outside in your garden, and that's it. That's all that you really have to do. It is that easy. And it will drain as long as you keep the bottom of the larger pot elevated. And then guess what? The seasons happen, and it starts getting cooler, and it's time to start thinking about the first frost. So what do? You bring your bromeliad out, and you take it back inside your house. Okay, so you've got a pot here, and I don't have a plant, but you guys probably have really great ideas for plants that you can have during the autumn that frost will not hurt. And don't repot them, just stick them right down in that same space, and you will never notice. And maybe not 365 days out of the year, but for a lot of the time, you can have bromeliads growing in your garden no matter where you live. So, okay, just to recap, we put this into the ground. You need to put something in the hole that keeps that bottom, there you go, that keeps that bottom from compressing down into the soil and becoming literally a little bucket full of water when you water or it rains. So you don't want that. But as long as you do that, you shouldn't have any drainage problems at all. And remember, that's going to stay right in the ground indefinitely. So you've only dug one time. The other is, and we mentioned this in last week's video, don't mulch up to your plant. It doesn't make any difference whether it's an inorganic or an organic mulch. Both are going to inhibit drying around the meristem of the plant. You don't want to do that. If you live in an area that doesn't get a whole lot of rain and you have automatic watering, Just take a look at it. You be the judge. But nevertheless, I still think you need an area about like that out from your plant. It depends on how big your plant is. But for a plant this big, just make it so that it's on this edge of the pot. And I'll bet you never see it. So okay guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed learning how to put your bromeliads in your garden, even if you don't live in the subtropics. It's really, really easy. Now, a lot of what we had in last week's video about how to put bromeliads in the ground still holds, so I want you to take a look at that video too. So doing pot in your garden, I think is a great way to have bromeliads, even if you don't live in the subtropics like I do. So no matter where you live, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. I know that you and I need to keep growing, have lots of fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.